white-hot AI agent startup Manus raises $75 million at a $500 million valuation. But what's surprising to some is that the investment was led by a US venture firm. Welcome back to the AI Daily Brief Headlines Edition, all the daily AI news you need in around 5 minutes. We kick off today with some funding news where the startup behind the viral Manus agent has reportedly secured $75 million in a deal that values the company at around $500 million. Now, this is no doubt a very juicy valuation for a very young company, but that's not all that surprising given how viral that thing went. Now, the more surprising part to some is that the funding was led by US-based Benchmark Ventures. Bloomberg sources said that Butterfly Effect, which is the company behind Manus, would be using the funds to expand their service into other markets, while the information reports that the company is also discussing setting up a new headquarters outside of China. Now, there are new US rules restricting certain types of American investments into China's AI industry, but it's one of those gray areas right now around whether this would require the sort of notifications that those rules imply. Last month, the information had reported that multiple US venture firms were in talks with Butterfly Effect to participate in this round, but they also found that some were reluctant to pursue the deal due to those concerns that investing in a China-based company could get the unwanted attention of US regulators. Now, outside of just the geopolitical aspect of the story, one thing that was interesting that AI consultant Ali Miller pointed out was that, as she put it, Manus and OpenAI are setting the price point for general AI agents. Enterprise might be higher. We've been talking a lot about agent pricing on this show, so that's one I'm watching closely. Now, speaking of fundraising, xAI Holdings is reportedly raising the second largest private funding round in history. The company, which encompasses Elon Musk's AI and social media business, is in talks to raise $20 billion at a $120 billion valuation, according again to Bloomberg sources. And some are suggesting that the numbers could even be higher. According to PitchBook data, this fundraising would trail only OpenAI, who announced a $40 billion raise to be spread across this year. One of the questions will be whether this is a capital injection for xAI's AI projects or a bailout of the company formerly known as Twitter. Twitter/X carried tens of billions of dollars of debt into the merger, with Bloomberg reporting that the annual interest expense is currently at $1.3 billion. One source said that some of the new funding round could go to paying down the debt. Now, what people are trying to suss out is whether the size of the rumored round affirms that there's still voracious demand for viable AI companies, or whether it shows a willingness to continue backing Elon Musk even as his empire hits a rough patch, or both. TechCrunch writes, Musk will likely draw from some of the same backers who have consistently funded his ventures, from Tesla to SpaceX, including Antonio Garcias of Valor Equity Partners and Luke Nosek of GigaFund. Reporting from earlier in the month didn't attach a valuation to the fundraising talks, and the company had most recently been valued at $50 billion during a November fundraising round that gathered $6 billion in fresh capital. Sources told CNBC that Musk was seeking to attach a proper value to his AI startup, his words, and while the new valuation wouldn't be enough to match OpenAI's $300 billion, it would leave xAI as the fourth largest startup in the world, also behind ByteDance and SpaceX. Finally today, Microsoft has launched their controversial recall feature. You may recall, sorry I had to, that the AI feature was first announced in May of last year, and it promised to keep track of everything users do on their computer and use AI to turn it into a searchable memory function. Think use cases like asking Copilot to find a website you browsed a few weeks ago just by describing it without knowing exactly what it was. Now, initially, the feature generated a huge outcry on the announcement, with many having big concerns about Microsoft having real-time screen capturing enabled on their device. Early testing suggested security wasn't up to scratch, and Microsoft delayed the rollout numerous times. Recall has been in early beta for Windows insiders for several months and is now available on general release. The feature is now opt-in rather than default on, which is a fairly obvious improvement for the security conscious. It's also only available on Copilot Plus PCs, which come with an inbuilt AI chip for local inference. These devices represented around 15% of high-end computer sales during last year's holiday season, meaning presumably users are seeking out these types of advanced AI features. The Verge's Tom Warren wrote, I spent a few weeks testing Recall last year and found it was creepy, clever, and compelling. Technologically, it's a great improvement to the Windows search interface because it can understand images and content in a much more natural way. But it does create a privacy minefield because you're suddenly storing a lot more information on your PC usage, and you still need to manage blocked apps and websites carefully. Kevin Beaumont, one of the security researchers that raised the alarm last year, said, Microsoft has made serious efforts to try to secure Recall. He noted that the database of screenshots is now encrypted, and sensitive information like credit card numbers and ID documents are automatically filtered. Now, there are a couple things that are interesting about all of this. When this was announced, I said that it was the type of feature that would seem insane to people right now, and in the future would be incredibly commonplace and not controversial at all. And indeed, in the years since Microsoft has announced this feature, the world's attitude towards AI has dramatically changed. Ultimately, recall represents a litmus test for how the general public interacts with current generation AI. Are we still going to see most people think of it as creepy? Or is it going to be seen as a genuinely useful addition to the computer interface where the security provisions that Microsoft has made are enough for people? Whatever ends up happening, it's clear that Microsoft is making a big bet that features like recall are a normal part of the AI future. And my guess is that they're right. For now, that's where we will close our AI Daily Brief Headlines edition. Next up, the main episode.